Now, welcome and thank you for your patience with our late start. My fault for being late. I was running in this heat, so I'm a little sweaty. Anyway, welcome everyone. Today is the September 6th Battery Park City Committee meeting. And my name is Justine Kucha, and I am the chair of this committee. My co-chair is Jeff Galloway, who's sitting next to me. Jeff, say something so the camera goes to you.
Hello, everybody.
Okay. And we have quorum, our lovely committee members are here in the room, and we can get started. Can we, district manager?
No,
Tammy?
just the chair, but
Just the chair, yes, you're helping with the meeting today. As Tammy pulls up the agenda, oh, the presentation, we can start with that. That's fine. I want to let everybody know who's on the call. We go by Robert's rules, which means that we're going to be having a presentation put forth, going forward by Pam Fredericks, who's the Battery Park City Authority's Chief Financial Officer. And then we will have the ability to ask questions. First, it will be from the committee in the room. Then it will be from board members online if they're here, and then it will be the public. Everybody will get a chance to speak. If you're an attendee, you will be given a chance to speak. The only way that I know that you want to speak as an attendee is if you raise your hand. So please raise your hand when you want to speak. I will call on you and everyone will have a chance to speak. Thank you so much. And with that, let me introduce Nick Spordone, who I think almost everybody knows. And yeah, and when you're ready, we'll give you the ability to. Yeah, next slide. So that's how it's gonna work. Good.
Pam, do you want to control your own slides or do you want me to have them up?
I think maybe you can control them. They're not that confusing, so I'll be able to direct.
Okay. Your slides are now up.
Okay, well, thank you. So I'm going to kick it for the financial presentation by the Battery Park City Authority, where they're given an explanation of their finances. Thank you.
Thank you, Justine and Tammy and Jeff and team and Pam for being here. We have in various points in the past kind of come before the board to give kind of regular presentations on the financial structure of the Battery Park City Authority's financing. Last time Pam was here, I think, was back in 21, perhaps. Last year, we did a open community meeting together, not in the setting of a community board meeting, but in 2021, we were at the BPC committee. And Justine and Sam and I have been trying to find the right date to try to get this in for the year, and we knew that we had some availability this evening. So I want to thank Pam, who I know was calling in, and we wanted to go through kind of some of the nuts and bolts of how the financing pieces together here at the authority, which I know is always of some interest to our local citizens. So without any further ado, I'll introduce you to our Chief Financial Officer, Pam Frederick, to take it away.
And just wanted to make sure you could hear me fine.
Yes, we
Right.
can, Pam. Thank
Okay,
you so
great.
much. And thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for inviting me back to speak with CB1. Looking forward to it. I have to say today you did pick a hot day to meet, so hopefully everyone's faring well there in New York. So we'll start with some of you will, some of this will be familiar to some of you, others it may be new information, but we always like to start by just revisiting the framework of how Battery Park City is funded, Battery Park City Authority is funded. And so you'll see on this slide with the boxes and arrows, because I think they're showing two slides at a time. It's probably easier to show one, but it's okay if you have to show two slides. So I just want to remind everyone that all of the funding that Battery Park City Authority receives is by virtue of the ground leases. And through those, we collect pilot. And as you can see on the chart, pilot represents on average about 80%. And then we also collect other ground lease revenues, which includes the ground rent. And those together are about 20%. After receipt of all of that, the authority uses the first portion of those revenues to fund our operations and to pay for debt service. So we get to sort of take and off the top everything that we need to continue to operate Battery Park City, which includes all of the landscaping and the horticulture and any physical plant that we need to fix. And then we use our debt service to pay for interest and principal on our outstanding bonds. So that once all of our costs are met, our annual costs are met, then the remaining funds are paid through to New York City and New York State pursuant to the settlement agreement. And so the settlement agreement pretty much defines and directs us as to how that excess revenue is then used. You could go to the, you could go to the next slide, please.
Okay. Will you be able to explain the settlement agreement? Maybe you are, right here. Thank you.
Yeah, it certainly at a high level, it's a fairly lengthy agreement, but the big picture, if you look at the box on the left, it sort of reiterates in the circle what I just mentioned, that the operations and debt service take up one slice of the revenues that we receive, and then the remaining funds are split two ways. First, to the New York City General Fund, and that's generally reflective of the pilot that we've received. And as I noted on the prior page, it's about 80%. So that's a larger share of that remaining, those remaining funds. And then anything after we've paid New York City, the pilot, and as you all probably well know, the pilot is reflective of real estate taxes that they would have otherwise received if Battery Park City Authority wasn't in place as an intermediary. So the remaining funds then get split in accordance with the direction of the settlement agreement, which goes into what's called the joint purpose fund. And from those the joint purpose fund, the settlement agreement, the last one of which was in 2010, and you'll see the sort of bucket on the right-hand side. That 2010 agreement directed Battery Park as to how funds that it held in-house, as well as those that we received over time, how those revenues would then get paid out. And for those who may have been around during the time that 2010 was initiated and over the years, a portion, there were kind of three original buckets that went to New York City, New York State, and then a portion went to a housing fund that was New York City as well. So those were paid out. And then over time, we had a remaining obligation of $261 million, and that was paid out over time to New York City, with the final obligation being paid and fulfilled in 2021. And since then, we've just, the funds have remained in the joint purpose fund. So then what happens next?
Pam, can you advise how much money is left and is in the joint purpose fund now since fiscal year 2021?
Yes, so we've accumulated approximately 85 million. And that sits in a fund, and so the next stage is that 2010 agreement, which is basically an amendment of the settlement agreement, will go into are in discussions with the next amendment, which will replace the 2010. So it'll be the next document or agreement that directs us on what to do with those joint purpose funds. And so to date, because of the urgency of the development taking place downtown, it's kind of an unusual, but we're happy to see it. 5 million of those existing reserves are going to be paid out of the joint purpose fund once a final agreement is made and we're directed on where that money goes. But it is agreed by the state and the city and Battery Park City that it will be 5 million to support affordable housing in the 5 World Trade Center. The remaining is yet to be determined, but those discussions are active and ongoing. If you could turn to the next slide, please. We always like to put this in because it tells you where those general funds go, how New York City is using the pilot, much like any other revenue that it receives, including other commercial real estate taxes and other revenues. It goes to fund all of the services that the city provides to not only Manhattan, but the other boroughs as well. And so it's a big portion of the money, but it really goes to some great services from your environmental protection to education, police, transportation. And you guys probably know all the services as New York City residents. I once was as well, but you would know what those are. But we think that, it goes, you would know through your normal New York City budgeting process how the general funds are allocated and used within New York City. Once we pay those general funds money over, it's no longer a Battery Park City Authority point of discussion. It's left our hands and it's now into New York City's. So if we can move on to the next portion, which is really talking about what were some of our results in 2022. You can go to the next slide. We'll start with the receipts. So as noted earlier, all of the receipts that come into New York City include the pilot funds, and then which is the lion's share, was about 79% in 2022. And then the remainder is a combination of ground rent and some other revenues, like we have the hotels, the marinas, and other smaller non-core revenue streams, rather small. But the lion's share, as you can see, about still approximately 80% going to pilot and the other 20% coming in as under the ground leases. Another way to look at that is by segment, and we have divided that again into 3 sections, being commercial revenues, residential revenues, and then hotel revenues. And the split is somewhat unbalanced, but one thing that this doesn't reflect is we received when Goldman Sachs entered into their lease, they paid all of their revenue up front. That money would have been received and then flowed out as part of excess revenues already. So we don't hold any of that money back. That would have already been received. And so while it looks more unbalanced, it doesn't represent any of the Goldman money.
Pam, can you explain that a little bit? Marianne on my committee is asking a question as to.
I just didn't hear the beginning of that last part, like, what money are you talking about?
Yes, be specific. I believe it was Goldman Sachs.
Oh,
that
Goldman
paid for
Sachs.
them, but I'd rather
Yes,
have you
is that
say
the
it.
part? Okay, yeah, so we receive under all of the leases annual rent. Goldman Sachs, however, when they entered into their agreement many years ago, all of that was paid up front. So rather than making annual payments, they made one large lump sum payment. I think it was in the order of 160 million or so. So that was all paid up front.
And that covers them through what date?
That covers their rent through maturity of their lease. And I think that goes to 69, but I'd have to confirm that.
That would be
Wow.
great, Pam, if you could confirm it. I think you're right, but that's.
Absolutely, it's not a problem.
Thank
Now,
you.
that money went in, but like, has it all been?
It flows out.
spent?
It would flow out as all rent does through excess revenue payments to the city.
I'm just trying to understand, they prepaid, like, let's say they prepaid 50 years at once.
Mhm.
What happened to that money? Is
That
it
money would
sitting-
flow out.
It's
No,
being used
it would,
here or it's already gone?
it's already gone. It would flow out
So
just
that
like any
gets-
rent that we receive flows out.
No, but, so you got it all up front. It's all been spent, so we don't have it anymore, but they're still where they
That's
are.
correct.
in our neighborhood.
And when you say spent, just like, if we, talk about how much goes to, how the settlement agreement works, that would have been excess revenues that would have flowed through. Now, can you go back to, the page, slide up, one more? Okay, right there. Okay, see where, it says 2010 agreement?
No, I understand that the money, it just,
Yeah.
it just puzzles me that you get 50 years worth of their payments in 1 year and then expend it all in the year. And then they don't have to pay anymore. So that means that money's not coming in anymore.
That's correct.
So everybody else has to keep.
Nope,
it's
no,
going.
yeah, that's kind
No?
of, not,
They would have paid 160 million over that time. They just paid it up front.
Yeah, but it's all been expended out. That's what I'm puzzled by.
We had the money.
Like,
Speak louder, so she.
Speak louder, Eric.
can we go to the
So
next slide?
The 160 million would have been paid out
Can you-
over the time of the lease.
that's not what I'm hearing her tell me though. That's what I would like to hear.
That's,
But
I can tell you, yeah. Let's stop for 1 second. The money
The
came in and it was paid out through the settlement agreement, to fulfill the settlement agreement obligations. So that money has left
What settlement agreement obligations, Pam?
the
It
2000,
went
that's
straight
why I
to
was
the
taking you
joint-
back. The 2010 settlement, obligations, so it would have flowed out at that time.
261 million.
It's all gone. It's not, it's.
Yes, it is no
authority doesn't
longer,
have
it is
anymore.
not cash that we're holding. That money has flowed out by virtue of the requirements under the 2010 settlement agreement.
Okay, so then they're not.
That,
But
I
I'm like,
hear all that.
I hear all that, and I have
So-
a question.
You know what I'm getting at?
I think I know where you're
Which
getting.
part don't you
So,
understand?
Pam, what I'd like to know is when you say it went to pay off the joint purpose fund, I don't understand that. It went in like everything else, where it went into the big mix. And then, or it went specifically to pay off the joint purpose fund.
No, that's not what I
It
said.
goes into.
It would've-
It went into old, tell me.
It would have, just like all excess revenues,
Okay.
it would have funded the joint purpose account, and then those funds would have been used to meet any obligations under the joint purpose, the settlement agreement, and been paid out of the joint purpose agreement to meet those obligations that occurred at that time. That money no longer exists. It's not subject to negotiation. It does not affect our current operations. It is a historical fact.
Yep. Justine, just think the mechanics are exactly the same, except it was a larger input at the time when it came in. It still came in and went out in the same proportions as everything else goes in and out.
Mhm.
For whatever reasons, and we don't want to speak for Goldman Sachs, they made a decision to pay their rent up front, but it's the same amount that they would have paid over the time. They just paid it in one lump.
I think I don't want to speak for Marianne, but the issue that's implicated by her comments is that a disproportionate share of that rent sounds like it ended up going to the city of New York and the state of New York versus what would have been the case had it been paid over time. Because if it's paid over time, every year there's a certain amount of expenses for operations of the authority. And then the excess over that is dealt with and as part of the special purpose fund, and the rest of it goes into the city. But the only expenses that was netted against was the expenses for the year that it was paid. So does that mean that the city got a disproportionate share compared to otherwise would have been the case? I haven't done the math to figure it out.
No, so let's go through this, slide, which is expenditures.
You want this slide, right, Pam?
Yeah, let's go through this slide. So part of what I'm hearing is a little bit of angst about, how the money is being apportioned. And, one thing that allows us to have a very strong credit rating is the fact that any cost that we need to address within Battery Park City is paid before any money goes anywhere else. So in this case, in 2022, we'll finish this and we can continue that discussion, or, you know, if we need more clarification. But when of the money that we receive, how does it then get spent? First, it goes to our operating costs and our debt service, and then any other corporate or other expenses that the authority incurs. And last year, that was about 124 million, or about 37% of the funds that came in. And with the remainder being apportioned either through New York City's general fund, and like I said, on that one is driven by the pilot that we received, which they would have received anyway, except they would have gotten 100% of it. But they, you know, first allow us to pay our expenses, and then we get pilot to them, and then the remainder goes into the joint purpose account. So last year we had a remainder. All of that represented about 63% of what we collected, about 214 million. But let's say in this year, someone paid $100 million prepaid rent. That rent would flow out, and it would flow towards the joint purpose. And whatever agreement is in place for the settlement agreement at that time would direct us on how that money is paid, either to New York City, New York State, or wherever the settlement agreement directs us to send that money. So this year, 20% of the 200, let's just call it, you know, 44-ish million would have gone into joint purpose. It's currently sitting there, as we noted before. We've accumulated some. And then when the settlement agreement is amended this year, 23, or if it takes to 24, whenever, we'll just continue to accumulate until a new amendment says, send money here, just like they just told us to send 5 million to World Trade Center, send money to wherever, whether it's New York State or New York City. It's that agreement that will tell us what proportion goes to whom. So it's not a matter of overpaying a proportion. It is a matter of how is that, what does the agreement say should be paid? Whether it's 200 million to New York City, 200 million to New York State, and then over time, New York City receives another 200 million. It will tell us where that money is going and under what time frame. So there's no misallocation. It is a function of what was agreed at the time in that amended settlement agreement between New York City, New York State, with and by New York City, I mean the comptroller's office as well as the mayor's office, and Battery Park City representing and stepping in for the state as a representative, but ultimately it's the state that decides, that has a say in where that money goes. So it's not a disproportionate amount. It is by virtue of an agreement. In
Okay.
2010.
The agreement is the crux of my question,
Okay.
because there's agreements that change over time. I know that when the authority was set up in the 70s, there was established how we would all pay our costs, and particularly the grants.
So established this.
And there have been a few changes with that. But I hear many, many more changes. I think I've heard it over the many, many years, more changes to the settlement agreement, I think. And
Yes.
I think I'm referring now to the 2010 agreement, because when that came out, over the following years of that, I realized that some new obligation to give away $250 million had come into being. Maybe that's because of the great amount of money that came in all at once from Goldman. But in any event, I never quite understood, maybe just these agreements, who makes these agreements and who approves the agreements to give the money out?
The mayor, the comptroller of New York City, and the state of New York.
Okay, so the state of New York. our elected representatives, some office somewhere?
Who did it in
The board of the
2010? I don't
authority.
know, but I know, Battery Park had been, standing in to, weigh in. Um, but it is not, Battery Park City is not really the signer. It's on behalf of the state.
Right. So,
The
yeah,
thinking as the state.
who what?
Who is it from the authority that is at the table making these decisions from the state? I always assumed it was the governor, but there's gotta be a representative.
Just like everything in New York State is ultimately the governor, but they have other people acting on their behalf.
Representatives there.
I'm not sure who that would be this time. Nick, I don't know if you wanna, weigh in on, or are familiar with that, but, we can circle back to you and let you know if there's a specific person identified. I know that,
Yes, I would like that, Nick.
yes,
Thank
let's
you.
do it
Can I
that
just
way.
ask, are all these agreements and the amendments posted on the website of the authority,
Yes, they are.
right? Okay, and so whoever changes them probably is signing off on them.
I
There's
think
probably
so.
signatures there.
It's everybody, but let's go
Yeah.
with Betty and let Betty ask the
Yes.
question, because I know we're interrupting you, Pam.
No,
but
that's
you only
okay. I
have
mean,
slides. So it's
I just-
helpful in the
For the-
minute to ask
for
the
the
question.
benefit of the group, I don't want to interrupt Betty, but Pam has a hard stop in a little bit.
Oh, what
So
time? So let's
Uh,
hurry.
What
it
time?
was
What?
originally 6:45. I don't want to speak for Pam. I don't know if that's pushed out or not, but I want to make sure we get through the presentation.
Yeah, the next two slides are not,
Okay.
I think
But
we
let me
can
go-
get through those quickly and try to answer as many, questions as we can after that. But I think
Betty?
I think the clarifications may have helped already, so.
No, go ahead, Betty.
Betty.
Ask your question, then we'll go on.
No, I think very simple minds to look at it. If the money from Goldman Sachs, and it could be anybody who prepaid, so I apologize to them for using them as an example. But if they are not in this current fiscal year contributing, they're not next fiscal year, they're not next decade's fiscal year. Does that mean the residents have to make up that whole void? Because there isn't a commercial contribution in any particular fiscal year any longer.
No,
And I don't think there ever is a void. There's always
Yeah.
extra money to
it's
give
never.
away.
It's not, because again, what the residents are paying is already subject to what's in their lease. So they're paying that irrespective of what Goldman pays, right? Pam, if I'm mistaken.
That's exactly right. Goldman's.
But they're paying it no
payment
matter
and
what.
Use of Goldman's payment has nothing to do with what residents pay.
Right. So one of the questions I think that we had seen that we wanted to try, the reason we kind of brought that up was one of the questions we repeatedly see is, oh, well, residents are paying more of a percentage than commercial properties are. And that's true, but not to the large extent as it seems. And part of the reason that's driving that is because back when Goldman made its first payment, that was a huge amount that they had paid. So, but either way, what you pay as a resident of Battery Park City does not change depending upon what
We know
Goldman pays
that.
or doesn't pay.
If I could interrupt,
Because
we
it's
know
subject
that.
to leases that were
right.
competitively
no.
bid negotiated.
Is that because Goldman paid their money up front.
Yep.
I believe, from everything I've heard since 2010, that a new obligation to give 250,000, might have been a smaller number, to New York happened. And
It did not happen.
I don't know what you're talking about, Marianne. I'm sorry.
There was no new obligation. Once the 2010 settlement agreement was entered, that was the last time there has been no change in the flow, in the obligations to pay.
I'm not talking about.
Enough, let's move on.
Okay.
Let's turn, because we don't have time.
Go ahead.
I need to give.
Okay, so we can go to the, I believe, next slide, because we covered this one. We just wanted to make a point in terms of one of the other things that happens throughout the year relate to our capital plan. And a significant portion of that, about 88%, this year was planned to go towards the resiliency projects in the south and the northwest that you're very familiar with. And then we have smaller projects which are more consistent in size with historical, some of which were for Pier A. We had general infrastructure. The reason you don't see things dilapidated in Battery Park City is we've got a great real property team, and you've gotten to know them well over the years with Gwen and her team presenting on the resiliency, but that team also takes care of the general infrastructure around Battery Park City. And then we have other smaller amount that went towards upgrading the facilities. So in total, the budget for that was 197 million, with 88% of that going towards resiliency. So we can go to the next slide. We'll talk a little bit about the capital funding and the bonds. We, as you're probably well aware, we were successful in issuing bonds in 2023. In total, it was 732 million, but of that, about 390 million is what we would say is new money coming in to pay for new projects like resiliency and pile remediation and things like that. So the remainder of that would have been refund bonds, what we would call refunding, just like you would refinance your mortgage. We would refinance some older bonds, but only if we could get it at a lower cost, which we were able to do. And so we were able to reduce our interest costs on the existing bonds, and we also simplified our debt structure by eliminating our swaps, and we did that for a net savings as well. And so it was a good timing to do that. We had some good market timing. We were able to maintain our AAA rating, and the reason as a CFO is easy to go to the rating agencies because our funding structure is so robust, meaning on those prior slides where I showed that all of our operating costs are paid first, and then a fairly significant sum is then flows out to New York City under the settlement agreement. But the first thing that is paid is anything, our costs for operations and maintaining our infrastructure, repairs and things like that, the horticulture, the programming, all of the wonderful programming that are provided by Craig and his team. And then we can support, we're allowed to support our debt service, which would be any principal amount that is paid in a given year and the interest. So we pay those things out first, then money flows, and that's what allows investors to feel comfortable that their debt service is going to be paid, because it's paid literally off the top to ensure that all of our debt service payments are met. The other thing that of note, we had designations on our bonds, a significant portion of those for sustainability. So they are, because they went to support an environmental change and social benefits to Battery Park City. And lastly, I would make note that Battery Park City bonds remain very highly sought after. We were oversubscribed in terms of the people who wanted to get the bonds, more than twice the amount we were offering. And so we had a pretty successful bond offering. The result of that is our outstanding debt is 1 billion, which is notably about what it was when I started 6 years ago. We paid that down over time with principal payments, but now with the new bonds, it's back up to 1 billion, which is still pretty low given the amount of revenues that are generated in to support and meet our obligations. Those were the primary comments that we wanted to make today. I think we've answered a few questions, and we might have, at least I will have time for 1 or 2 more. And then Nick, I don't know how you want to handle maybe collecting if there are any other follow-ups.
You know what I'm gonna ask, Pam, is I'll let Jeff speak now, and I'm gonna go right to the attendee section, because I know people have come for questions. And then I'm gonna invite you back, whether it's next month or thereafter, to answer questions, because people are still confused.
Mhm.
And I think they want more information, and it's just, it needs to come from the
I
authority.
think, yeah, we're happy to do that, and given
That's
sort
more
of what we talked today, maybe
Thank
we
you.
collect the questions, we set up another time to come back and
Yeah.
review them. That might be
Sounds
constructive,
perfect.
a constructive way to do it, so that we have the information available and can be responsive to the specific questions.
Yeah, go ahead, ask your question.
First I want to thank you, Pam, because I thought this actually was very clear and very helpful. And for all of you who are interested in this, it really is helpful if you actually read the annual reports and the financial statements. If those are things, documents that they're comfortable with. My question is on the settlement agreement amendment discussions. What's the time frame for coming to a conclusion on the next iteration of the settlement agreement? And what's the time frame that the public can have sort of input and comments on what they'd like to see in that?
Right, so there's no set time frame. Let's say this rolls into 2024, and sort of the same picture where we had the joint purpose funds, about 20% of our excess goes towards that. The same thing would happen. We would just, in addition to the 85 million that we have now, we would just add to that. So maybe if there's another 40 million or 45 million, that balance just increases, which, it just continues to grow until the agreement is reached. So there's no set time frame. So
Let me clarify my question a little bit. You described in one of your slides that 5 million of the joint purpose fund, the new iteration of the fund, would be going to the World Trade Center. And then the balance, you had a TBD, to be determined there.
that's exactly.
Time in which that will be determined and who is determining that?
Just in case I missed something, there's
Yeah.
there's no set time frame for when that will be determined, but it will be, an agreement will be reached at some point.
Yeah.
The parties that are involved in it would be New York City's Office of the Controller, and then also New York City's mayor, which is often represented by OMB, their financial arm. Ultimately, it has to be something that the mayor is supportive of and his representative would sign on behalf. Similarly, the state of New York, which think of Battery Park, if we're participating, is not unlike OMB in that we might be assisting them, but ultimately it has to be something that the state of New York authorizes to be signed. Who those parties are, I cannot personally say, because I'm not directly involved in those discussions, but it may be something that Nick can circle back to you with a clearer answer, or when we do the follow-up
Okay, thank you.
presentation.
Thank you. Okay, let's call on Victoria next, please. Now, Tim. Oh, yay. Victoria, you're unmuted, so now just speak. Yep, louder though, but yes.
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much, Pam. I really appreciate the presentation and the information. I'm a district leader in Lower Manhattan, and I'm also a member of the Coalition for 100% Affordable 5 World Trade Center. So I want to say thanks for the 5 million. And I also want
You guys are working hard, so hats off to you.
Well, appreciate it. And we appreciate the work and the participation and the partnership that we're finding with everyone. So, the Battery Park City Authority was, the founding articles of the authority were premised on the idea that it would provide affordable housing. So I think that the idea that the Joint Purpose Fund would largely go to affordable housing, particularly in Lower Manhattan, where we have lost it at an outrageous rate. We've lost at least 6,000 units in the last 15 years of affordable units. It would be great. And while we are incredibly appreciative of the $5 million, so thank you, that was really a bit of a stopgap. So we are asking that there be more. The state has contributed significantly for 5 World Trade Center, and we expect, just got great news today that we expect to get more funds from the federal government as well. And if we can actually make this happen, make a real statement about affordability downtown, we would be really appreciative of that. And I think the other question was that Jeff had asked already, which was, who is it from the state that sits at the negotiating table? And do our representatives have any say in that particular conversations? We're very grateful. Our representatives have been very supportive of our efforts. But I know that obviously the agency is an executive branch, falls into the executive branch. So I'm not sure. And so Nick, if you can figure that out and let us know, we greatly appreciate it. So thanks again.
Yeah, again, so what I would say, and thank you, Victoria, what I would say is, like anything else, your elected officials are your local representatives that you should go to with any and all concerns that you want to see addressed. I know that, and Victoria, I saw at the press conference, which was great. It was really a great morning for Lower Manhattan and for affordability generally. I saw you there. I saw Brian Kavanaugh there. I know he has had a large role in kind of advocating. The community board plays an important advocacy role. You should continue to advocate for the things that you want to see through your elected officials. I don't know that there's one staff member that does it. It's probably a team of folks that work on this across the city and state, with many people who have eyes on budget considerations, financial considerations, projections, et cetera. So I don't know if it's as simple as saying, here's one person and 5 million people call the person. Ultimately, it's the decision of the mayor who has to sign off, the governor who has to sign off, and the controller who has to sign off. We play a role, obviously,
Facilitate.
advising the governor of what our capabilities are. And we regularly note what goes on at the Battery Park City Committee and what we're hearing from the community generally and through resolutions, et cetera.
And Victoria, I know while you're focusing and as you should on 5 World Trade Center, our prior president and CEO, BJ Jones, who you all know so well, left in July, but a significant portion of his time had been focused on trying to retain and expand affordability in Battery Park City. And we were successful in certain cases in being able to do that. So I would also say that this current board is also very supportive of affordable housing and expanding affordable housing. So I think we have the right people. As Nick said, the big chiefs will ultimately make the decision, but from an authority, I think we're supportive of it.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much. And following up with what Victoria said, the decisions being made about the Joint Purpose Fund for 5 World Trade Center were made by the people at the Joint Purpose Fund table, correct? So Nick, I guess what I'm going to ask of you is not just the state, but who was there at the table? We'd like to know who the city officials were and who the comptroller's office officials were. So we actually have an idea of who it is we need to talk to. Not necessarily that we're going to have to, send thousands of letters, but maybe we will. I just want to know. But we'd like to know.
Deciding things that are
Matter, yeah. So I would love it if that's again, and I'm
transparent.
tapping you with that if you can get it, but I would really like to know what's possible. Because it's a little frustrating to not know. There's so many things that the Joint Purpose Fund, and even this committee has put forth a request, and we're happy. Thank you for listening to this committee. Thank you for listening to the Coalition for 100% Affordable 5 World Trade Center and giving $5 million to help increase the affordability there. As Victoria said, more would be better. Go ahead, Tammy.
Hi, Pam. Sorry, I have just a couple of questions. I noticed that Pier A is listed on the capital fund. Battery Park City Authority is, that property is still owned by New York City, correct?
Correct.
So
We have a operating agreement in which it remains in our control, but the owner as an asset is New York City.
and the owner as the asset, are they I mean, I know it's kind of like a circular money loop because we spend the money in the Battery Park City area through the authority, which then lowers the amount of money that you then send to the city.
That's exactly
Right.
right.
Right, just wanted to check on that.
That's
And
exactly.
then, I want to reiterate what Victoria was saying. I'd really like to know the people who are sitting at the table from the city and state side for what is used on the joint purpose fund and how that's allotted. I know that the discussions can be done at any time, but we'd like to know from a matter of public purpose, who's at that table. The Community Board One has passed a resolution in the past asking to be at the table. We obviously are not, so we're looking at least to know who is. You know, are we talking about the city controller, the state controller, exactly who is in on the dialogue? That should be a matter of public information that's accessible. So I would certainly like, when it's a question that I'm gonna ask, and would appreciate if you can, let us know that.
Yeah, and if you can't tell us, Nick, you can tell us, maybe help us figure out how to find it, please. Because this should be public information, surely. it should be.
Somewhere.
Someplace.
Okay, I might have to
Okay.
search on that, but,
Yeah.
all right,
And then, Nick, I had, before you go, Pam, did you get the email I just sent you with that joint purpose fund buckets? If we should-
I did. Do you want me to put that up? Who's sharing the screen right now?
I am, but you can, I'll give you a screen share, I'll make you the center.
Yeah, we're having.
Great. All right, hold on a
You need
second.
to do it.
This is exciting.
Send it in advance.
Oh, that's it. You're right.
This
I
is
didn't-
exciting. Justine, I saved it as Justine slide. That's what I called it, Justine slide.
I love it.
Although I know the slide and it's one of your
Oh, yeah.
favorites.
20,
Okay, Nick,
go ahead, you can share now.
You see it?
Thank you. So the reason why I asked for this particular slide is because in earlier presentations on finances, BJ Jones had put this slide together, and to me, this was the best explanation of what the joint purpose fund is. And it explains to all the people who are sick and tired of me talking about the buckets. These are the 4 buckets. And so over the years, this is based on the 2010 agreement.
Correct.
They came up with 4 the money to go. State, 200 million to the New York State General Fund, 200 million to the New York City General Fund, 200 million to New York City Affordable Housing.
Mhm.
The capital fund was the last fund for 261 million, and that was based, I believe this was for 2020, this slide. But I want that out there, and so now Pam, my question to you is, you confused me, and I think it's just terminology.
Hmm.
When you, going back to the Goldman Sachs thing, and you said that Goldman Sachs paid in advance and the money was put to the joint purpose fund to pay off some. I don't.
Oh, yeah, no. So, what I said is that it would be, it would flow through our normal, process of, making payments to New York City for its regular general fund, not this. Those payments were, made at the time back in 2010. I think there may have been some carryover to 2011. And so once those original 600 were paid off, by whatever funds, and those funds probably included the Goldman Sachs funds, and any other funds that had been accumulated by Battery Park. That was just one source. And then the 261 was paid over time.
Correct, with everything here basically was paid over time. My understanding of that 2010 agreement was that there was that $861 million had to be paid into the joint purpose fund, but it could have taken 10 years, it could have taken 20 years.
Exactly.
Just was whatever the word surplus is used badly, but the word surplus that's left over
Mhm.
go towards it to fund these things, and as each bucket was filled, it moved on to the next one, or whatever the agreement agreed to. In
Right.
any given year where the money was needed.
That's correct.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I would love it if it's possible, Nick, to somehow, I mean, make it clear this is the old joint purpose fund uses, but somehow incorporate that so people understand what you're talking about and compare it to, because that was so helpful in that old slide.
Yeah, like,
Those numbers real, those 2 million.
Those are real numbers.
Those
Yeah,
are
yeah,
real
those are real
Those are
numbers.
real
yeah.
numbers, yeah.
It'll be great to see that for multiple years going back.
Okay.
Maybe
I
should
probably
ask
have
them.
another, time for another question or two, if there's any.
Anybody in the room have questions? And anybody who's an attendee, please raise your hand. If you're on a phone, it's *6, I believe. But I know that, Ben List, you were asking me, yeah, there you go. Perfect. Thank you. You're unmuted now, sir. Oh, you got to do it yourself. Unmute yourself, Ben. *6 if you're on your computer. No, just unmute yourself. You have the power to do it, Ben. I love technology. Okay, we're gonna make you an attendee. That's just easier. Yeah. Okay, now we can unmute you. You're on the phone.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. Thank you for
Yes,
that.
yay.
And thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. My questions are really around the resiliency project. My questions for tonight, I mean, I look forward to future sessions as well. But around resiliency, could you please give us what the total cost is, the estimated total cost is expected to be for the resiliency project?
Are you referring to both projects? Or
I'm
are you
referring to the
referring-
entire I'm referring to the entire project, right? So what is happening, what is already in progress, and also reach 1 through 7, right? So the whole effort in its entirety.
I would say that that's probably a better, Gwen question, but in terms of what we're looking at in totality for the South Resiliency, project, and then the second project being the North and the West, it's a separate, project, but all resiliency. The expectation is, we, at least from a financial perspective, we've been planning as, a total of $1 billion. But Gwen would be better placed to answer that question, because I don't have, numbers. I base my, funding on, what I need to issue for debt in the, coming years, and we don't have the total cost for the North and West. So, I'm less comfortable saying a number, but if you had to use round numbers, it'd be about $1 billion, $1.2 billion, something like that. As those numbers get refined through, more detailed design work, Gwen will be able to refine that number better.
Right. I have a follow-up question too, and it's specifically around Reach 1, right, which really protects Tribeca. I know we benefit from it too as well, right? So that's the northernmost reach of the project, right? As well as what's going on now down in Wagner Park, which also benefits FIDI along with Battery Park City.
Unless this is a finance question, it's probably better placed for when Gwen.
Yeah, I know it's a somewhat finance question. That's why I am directing it to you. But
okay.
But my question would be this: for those segments, would some of the cost actually be funded through the joint purpose fund, right? Because those projects don't just benefit Battery Park City; they also benefit the surrounding neighborhoods. So it would just seem logical that at least some of those, some of the money for reach, the reach that goes into Tribeca, and also the work that's actually being done down in Wagner Park is not paid for just totally out of Battery Park City money.
So Pam, I can try and take a shot at it if it's all right.
Yeah.
And thank you, Ben. It's good to see your name come across again. We've kind of discussed this a number of times, and I always try to refine the way I'm kind of explaining it, and I blame myself when people don't understand it, so bear with me. Maybe the best way to explain it is, because I hear it often, is we want resiliency. Most people say, we like resiliency, we want resiliency, but we want the city to pay for some of it. We don't want to pay for all of it. And maybe the best way to explain it is, as Pam had alluded to at the start of her presentation, think of it this way. The city is paying for the resiliency projects, because every dollar that the Battery Park City Authority collects, we are simply kind of an agency that collects this money, whether it be on behalf of pilot or ground rent. It belongs to the city of New York. We are part of the city of New York. We are an organ that has a great benefit to be able to say, unlike the vast majority of other neighborhoods across the city, they pay their taxes and they hope that someday they get that money back to fix the playground or whatever the case may be. We get to keep all the money we need here to work on capital priorities, operations, keeping our parks beautiful, keeping the great staff, or in Pam's case, the great staff, in my case, but paying the staff, doing the operations. Then what's left, we give to the city. And it can't be that we simply say to the city, hi, New York, we're going to keep all of it, because the city would say, can't keep all of it. It's basically our money. And the way you know that it's the city's money is because the city has to approve our capital plan. Okay, we can't just be like, hey, New York City, we're spending $1 billion. The city's like, they have to approve our capital plan. And the fact that they do, I think, is testament not only to the great work that our staff does, but also a testament to the confidence that the city has in the work that we do. Because otherwise they would just say, you know what, DPC, if you didn't exist, 100% of that money is ours. The fact that we could get to keep $40 million or whatever the current operating budget is each year in Battery Park City here to maintain the day-to-day kind of workings of BPC. And then on top of that, tens of billions of dollars in hard resiliency capital dollars is a real benefit that not really any other neighborhood has. So think of it that way. And it's not spin, it's the truth. It's the city's money. We get to keep some of it. Without BPCA, 100% of the ground rent and the pilot that you pay, either way, whether BPCA exists or not, would go right through to the city of New York. And then
It would
BPCA
decide.
would be competing with other neighborhoods about what its priorities are and when it gets to spend the money and on what.
Yes. Yes, but we will go through another refunding for the joint purpose fund, right? So like we were saying earlier, $5 million goes for affordable housing at 5 World Trade. That sounds great to me, right? I guess all I'm asking is for work for resiliency that also benefits other neighborhoods. Shouldn't that be reflected not in our internal expenses for Battery Park City but included in the other funding mechanism, given that it benefits Tribeca, given that it benefits FIDI?
I mean, I think it's a fair question to ask. I don't know ultimately what the decision is going to be made by the people who are making the decisions at a level far beyond us. I know that traditionally, what, and as is evidenced by the recent settlement agreement, what those excess revenues have been used for after the Battery Park City Authority pays its expenses and its debt service is the general fund, which funds, city employees and operations, and affordable housing. If there's a way that folks think that they want to prevail upon their elected officials and others to say, hey, we want that ferreted out, so a portion of that maybe goes to resiliency as well, I think that's a conversation that the community board should have if they want to have it.
And Nick and Ben, don't go away. You got a follow-up question, but Nick, we did opine on this in January, and we have a resolution that we put forward as to some of the uses for the joint purpose fund. We did ask to be a seat at the table, as Tammy noted,
Right.
clearly that's been not happening. We did ask for some money to go to 5 World Trade Center, but we've also asked for help with resiliency, and we've
Yep.
asked for some differences. But I have a question, and then I think Richard Foreman.
Nick, if you want to take questions, I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave. I'm
You have to
a
go.
bit
That's
overdue.
okay.
But if you want to continue, if you could do that, I look forward to coming back. And
Yes.
participating and providing clarity on whatever questions that you guys may have.
Cam, that would be great. I want to thank you. Our
Yeah.
next meeting, I believe, is Wednesday, October 4th. And I'm inviting you right now, here and now, if you could come virtually again, if you can.
I don't know if we could have Pam back next month, but
Yeah, well, we'll work with Nick on scheduling.
Okay. well, I'd
We're
love to
getting toward the end
sooner
of
than
our
later.
fiscal year, Justine. So it's a real rush toward the end of the close out there. But I'll have Pam back.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam.
Alrighty.
Nick, I'll ask you my questions, but you can bring it
Thank you.
back to Pam.
Yeah, and about your note about the resolution noted. Thank you, Justine, for that. That's great. So yes,
Yeah.
I will make sure that I kind of re-up that amongst folks to see it. But I know that I remember we had this conversation maybe a year or more so ago. I said the same thing. The community board
Yeah.
should certainly advocate for the things it likes to see. And then as a result, I mean, the funding for the Fire World Trade Center, that was it was a big deal.
I've World Trade Center, affordable
Right.
housing, every place. But my question, and it's unfortunate Pam had to go, but
Go ahead.
one of my bigger questions was, with the bonding, $1 billion of bonding taken out, what's the collateral for the bonding, right? Everything has to, it's like a mortgage, you need to have collateral. And what is the collateral? And where does that money come from and how is it ascertained?
Well, I mean, I don't want to speak to the collateral. I'm by far not an expert on that, but the money, again, comes from the same places as it comes from, right? So the vast majority of the money that the Battery Park City Authority takes in every year, roughly 75 to 80% comes from pilot, which is the equivalent of real estate taxes set by the city of New York, formula of what the assessment of the property is and the tax rate established by the New York City Council, the assessment by the Department of Finance. And then about, let's say, 16, 17 odd percent or so, I may be off a couple of percentage points in either direction, but that is what comes from ground rent. But those are the two, and then there's civic facility maintenance fees, which is a smaller amount for the maintenance of the parks. But the vast majority of it comes from pilot. Significantly less amount comes from ground rent. Those are the two main avenues.
No, thank you for that. And I mean, at the end of the day, I believe about $40 to $50 million comes in from ground rent. I think that's what Pam showed in her slides. Am I correct? Or did she not give us that information? I saw the breakout between residential.
I think it was percent, but if there's numbers, you know what so again, what I was saying before was once we have in the past done this presentation in like the January, February timeframe. And we were happy to be tonight because I know we had said for some time we want to try and get Pam back here.
Because I do
Once we
have.
close
more
out
questions.
once we close out the fiscal year, which closes October 31st for us, and then do the year financials and then the auditing of it. That's why maybe the early part of next year, if you want an update on what the most recent numbers were, because the most recent numbers we have now that can be reported out publicly and audited, and we know that they're kind of locked down, are last year's fiscal numbers. Because we're
Okay,
late in the
makes
fiscal
sense.
year now. But
Right,
yes, you
so
can
yes.
ask those, we can get those questions answered for you.
That would be great, Nick, because I think that for folks that are trying to get their arms wrapped around the whole financial situation, the ground rent and all these things that are going on that are our financial lives in Battery Park City. Part of what is relevant is the authority collects a certain amount in ground rent to pay for their expenses, the capital costs, and to pay for the bond debt. But clearly to me, because I've looked at the numbers, they are certainly, and I think you've said it, they're dipping into, you have to dip into the pilot money to pay the rest of the bond servicing because there's not enough money there. So I think that would be a nice thing to explain and discuss and understand, because that means the city has to be agreeing to it all. But that's for later. I know you can't answer it, so we'll just come back to it. Richard Corbin, unmute yourself and speak. I believe you are a panelist, so you can. Yep, go ahead.
Hi, thanks, Justine, and thank you, Nick, and Nick on behalf of Pam it was very informative. I appreciate that. And of course, for the support for Fire World Trade Center, I'm also on the coalition. But you just answered one of my two questions. I wanted to ask how the pilot and the ground lease level payments were set. You just explained the pilot, and I appreciate that. So could you just explain how the ground rent, the ground lease payments are set?
Sure. Justine and I have had this conversation so many times. I feel like I could do it in my sleep, and I'm still probably going to fumble it because it's not the most complicated thing in the world, but it's also not the simplest. But very, very generally, and this is actually a great point, Richard, because it brings me back to something we discussed earlier. The pilot, as we discussed, is set by the city to assess tax value and the tax rate. The ground rents were established with each individual building in Battery Park City at the time it was built, or I guess the time it was contemplated about being built and being developed. those leaseholds, those agreements to build the buildings were the subject of competitively bid contracts for the land. And then when the developer came in and negotiated with the authority, those ground leases negotiated at the time when the buildings came online, which is why you will see in the case of some buildings, there are, especially in the condo world, as Justine knows well, kind of a wide variety of where buildings are at in terms of what they're paying in ground rent. And that is a function largely of when they came online and what the prevailing market rates were at the time. So it's competitively bid each individual building and subject to the existing leases that the buildings have and negotiated with the Battery Park City Authority. So again, that bring back that to the point, if it helps, Richard, question came up before about Goldman. It really, either way, whatever anyone ground lease holder in Battery Park City Authority pays each year, it does not affect what every other building pays, because those payments are subject to provisions in the leases that exist between each individual building and the Battery Park City Authority.
Okay, yeah, that's very helpful. And those, I understand, I think correctly, that those leases come up and they get renegotiated periodically. Is that, or how long do the leases extend? How far do those leases extend? Let me just ask.
So it depends. Again, one of those things that kind of makes it a little more complicated is it depends. There are existing agreements with 18 of the condo buildings in Battery Park City that was negotiated with the authority and a consortium of the buildings back in the 2011-2012 timeframe. And that runs through various points between 2039. They all run through 2069. All the ground leases run through 2069.
Got it.
Which is
But nothing firm has been
but
set.
at the various points throughout that time frame, there are scheduled resets and step-ups in the rent, depending upon each building and what it agreed to at the time.
Got it. So one last point of clarification.
Yeah, go ahead. What the authority is trying to do at certain points when it made sense, like for instance, we had, this goes to Pam's point about making sure that we are setting affordability as a real priority, where we had buildings that were coming up on a particular reset in their ground lease. So not the end of the lease, but a reset that was coming up. Hey, you're going to have a big bump up in what you pay the authority. Tribeca Point is an example. So we were able to negotiate with Tribeca Point and basically say, in essence, in order to be able to reduce your payment to the authority, what we want in return is the preservation of affordable units in your building, which was a big win. I mean, as a result, you have 70 truly affordable units in Tribeca Point, which is a beautiful luxury building on the North Esplanade. You know it well, I'm sure. I think it's 30 to 40% of AMI, truly affordable units, 70 of them. That's not nothing compared to what we have in Lower Manhattan, obviously. And that's extended now through 2069. They were going to expire, I think, in 10 years. So we basically were able to push that out as a result of a reset coming up in the contract, where we use that as a tool to negotiate with the building to expand, to preserve affordability. And in this case, expand the term. Go ahead, Richard. I'm sorry.
That's really helpful, and it's great news, actually, of course. Just a point of clarification on the pilot.
Wait, before you go on, Richard, 1 second, let me just clarify. Tribeca Point is a rental building, not a
Tribeca
condo.
Point's a rental. Yes, Tribeca Point's a rental.
That was your question.
Yeah.
Right. So the pilot tax rate, is that the same as the tax rates that are applied to properties across the city?
I don't know enough about finance to say for sure. My understanding of it, based on a broad reading on the topic, is that it is roughly in line with, but it depends, like anything else, as I understand it, on the land that it's on, right? So waterfront property, presumably, is more valuable than
Right.
property not.
That would affect the valuation, but the rate.
Oh, I see what
tax
you're saying.
rate.
Yeah, that might affect the assessment. You're right. The rate, I don't know. That's, as I understand it, within the purview, if not entirely, then largely in the purview of the New York City Council.
Okay,
They vote on what the
thanks,
tax
Nick.
rate is. Of
Appreciate that.
course.
Are you all done, Richard? Can I take your hand down?
Yes,
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
last
you.
thing I would say is I'm sorry I missed the picnic, by the way. I got the invite, but I didn't get a chance to go.
you missed a great one. Lots of great food.
How'd you like Rockefeller Park? It's a great setting, isn't it?
You were right there. You should have been there.
I know. I'm sorry, but thank you anyway.
Next time.
Community board meeting.
Oh, yeah, 50 that, but.
All right, Nick, can you,
Yeah, I think we could maybe move on to the next topic, or we finished with this one. Anybody else have a question on finances at this point in time? Good. Okay, the next topic that we are talking about on our agenda today is, Pat, don't hate me, Patrick Murphy. I want to talk about programming, construction, and event updates. Can we do that next? What? What, Patrick?
Well, I'm okay with it.
I'm just gonna turn my light on, so I'm not sitting in the dark
Are
here.
you ready to go, Nick, or you need a minute?
Like a weirdo. Yeah, let me just turn my light on.
Patrick, yeah, well, Nick is getting set up. Why don't you go? Go ahead, Patrick. Let's have your information, your security update.
That'll work, Justine, because it's in the report and a lot of the programming stuff is in there too.
we have the report, we'll show, but you want me to pull it up now?
Well, yeah, because Patrick's numbers are at the bottom.
Last page.
If you go to, thanks, Tammy, go to the bottom of the last page. This is September is always a twofer month because you get the numbers from July and August, since we don't have a meeting in August. So at the bottom there, you'll see July 22 over 23, and then August 22 over 23.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, Patrick, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, as you can see for July, the graffiti, we had 0 this year. The homeless, we interacted with 19 people. Lost and found, we had 10 reports dealing with it. Park rules were at 12, vendors 0, and dogs 14. For August, we had 5 reports of graffiti. We interacted with 16 homeless people. Lost property was 2, lost and found. Park rules, we had 25 reports. Vendors was 0, and dogs, we had 9 reports.
Anybody have any questions for Patrick? Betty does. Betty, go ahead.
Actually, mine isn't a question, it's going to be a comment. The comment about the training of the ambassadors. There was a situation a week or 2 ago. I was walking with a friend, elderly like me. I think she has hip and leg problems. We were moving at a relatively slow pace. We're on the upper level of the Esplanade in the south. I South Cove. And when the ambassadors came over and asked me to please get off the upper level, I had to go to the lower level. And I know, but it's a friend of mine from Chicago who's also a therapist. So she asked as well, and she said, wheelchairs, you allow strollers up here, why aren't wheelchairs and scooters allowed up here? And she said, no, I'm sorry, you have to get out and move over. And I said, no, really, I realize I can't walk. I thought maybe she didn't understand what the scooter was, or my reference to wheelchair. At that point, I think she was probably stymied, and so she didn't know how to back down or alter it. But I think she was kind of annoyed when I continued forward where I was and wouldn't recommend me anymore to make me get off the upper. But they need to have some education about what mobility scooters are.
Yeah, Betty, if you can get us the time and the date roughly about when this happened, to Pat and me. We'll make sure that we,
Boy, I can tell you the name of the person too.
Yeah, let's do that.
we'll get the
Send a
ambassador.
text or an email. But thank you for sharing
The
that.
general problem, and the reason I mention that it's general is it was Tuesday, it was a Monday. And on the Saturday before, I had been to one of the pack showing. It was very nice.
Fine arts.
Yes, and I thank Marianne for letting me go with her on her ticket. But anyway, when I entered there, the same thing, the ticket usher on the first level of the balcony, they have something designated for wheelchairs. So there's no seat there and you can pull in. When I entered that level, the usher came over and said, please park over here and get yourself. And I said, I'm kind of shocked. I did a double take and I said, you realize I can't walk. They said, well, then we'll move it back for you later. So it's a general misunderstanding, which is why I don't want to target a particular ambassador because, like I said, I was in the same situation 2 days earlier.
People don't get it.
Yeah, wow. I mean,
Yeah, I'll follow up concerning that, with the team.
because love the fact that they're paying attention to scooters, bicycles, electric vehicles on the Esplanade, but we need to have a distinction between what is.
Yeah, because we're also
hazard
dealing
and
with,
what is not.
we're also dealing with people trying to use a moped on the Esplanade, believe it or not.
Yes, I've seen that too.
I'm saying, but this is definitely not, and I said, it's a wheelchair, and she said wheelchairs were banned too, so.
And that's just, I mean, yeah, that's ridiculous. That's just silliness now. Wow. Wheelchairs are not banned. I mean, I appreciate the diligence, but education will be helpful, training.
That's right. That's right.
Anybody else have anything in the attendee section? Oh, Tammy does. Go ahead, Tammy.
Patrick, I have a question. It's at the edge of the park. You know, all the food carts and the trucks that are right at the edges, on the sidewalks at the edge of the parks. It does seem that we've had a growth at the top of Liberty Street, of the Liberty Street ramp, which includes they're not actually legally cited right, because there has to be 10 foot from the edge of the crosswalk or where the curb cut is. And they're not, they're within 1.5 feet of the curb cut. They're, whatever you call it, a hookup area where they hook to the truck. I don't know whose jurisdiction it's under. NYPD says it's not theirs.
Well, I'll touch base actually, with Brookfield and them, and have, my supervisors follow up with that up on the, I really don't have anybody patrolling up on top, on the street there. They're more in the park. But, I'll have the supervisors keep an eye over there and also touch base with Brookfield concerning, your concern about the ramp up on Liberty.
Well, it's not them, it's not Brookfield, it's the,
City street.
but it's not on the city street, they're on the sidewalk, and so
Yeah.
if an emergency vehicle needs to go up the driveway,
Brookfield may very well be in control of that though, because they are in control of the security gate there.
Ah.
but it's not their land.
I don't know where their border is.
I don't know. But
Nick, can you explain, does Brookfield control the entire Liberty ramp, or is that BPCA land?
So the clamshell that comes up and down is, the right at Liberty Street where you enter and down the ramp that's Brookfield. But every now and again in this business, you'll kind of get on those kind of gray areas where it's like kind of sits between agency jurisdictions. I'm happy to kind of run this to ground for you and find out what, if anything, can be done about it. Sometimes it's health department or consumer affairs, or the agency that used to be called consumer affairs. It depends, but let me find out what I can, because if it's crowding to the extent that it could potentially impact, emergency traffic, that's a big deal.
I just want to make sure that the pathway for pedestrians is a little bit more clear. And, I would hate for somebody who's walking across the street in a large group, to get trip or get stuck or anything on that thing because it's not where it's supposed to be.
Too close.
Yeah, thank you.
That's right. Okay.
And then what Patrick and Nick, for the opening of the school season, are you still on summer scheduling and team staffing? When does your staffing get reduced for the fall and winter?
I'm still on summer staffing, so I'm still up. Will have somebody over by the schools tomorrow.
Thank you.
Doing what we normally do. Obviously, just to remind everybody, we can't do the crossing guard duty, but we can be on the sidewalk and hold kids back, not to run in front of the cars or whatever, and make everybody aware. And we'll keep an eye on the Wagner construction site there, that there's no trucks or anything else that's going to impede the movement over there.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anybody else have any questions? Anybody we got to see who else is in here and see the attendees. Oh, it popped up. Okay, well then let's move on. Okay, thank you so much, Patrick. Let's move on to the next one. Now you're up.
Great. So yeah, Justine, I'll run through this. I mean, I want to give it the appropriate amount of attention. As there are questions, we can stop.
Let's go quick with your report.
Yeah, I built into it updates on some of the things, I think, including some very timely updates on things that we had discussed in the interim. So just running down there, the top item is the feedback tool for the Northwest Battery Park City Resiliency Project. That is now open through the end of September for those of us joining us. For those who joined us for the first time or the first time in a while, we had a great turnout at the end of June. We had over 200 attendees join both online and online and in person for our dual sessions on the Northwest 30% designs. And we launched subsequently an online tool for people who were either not able to attend in line or in person, or had thoughts after the fact and they wanted to review them again. I am happy to say that to date, we have 54 participants on the tool. I am also sad to say that to date, we have 54 participants on the tool. So please, by all means, continue to provide feedback on what you've seen. We were last at the Environmental Protection Committee in July, and we'll be back to the community board in short order, the community board leadership in short order on kind of the next steps and meetings we want to have, and make sure that we're sequencing that in a way that doesn't interfere with community board meetings as we usually do. But by all means, the tool is there. It's in the broadsheet every day. I know it because I talk to Allison Simcoe about it all the time. She said, "You want me to keep it?" I said, "Keep it, extend it, put it to the end of September." It's in these MailChimps that you get that we blast out to thousands of people. So please participate and send your feedback in, because we want to make sure that we are getting as much of it as we can and applying the lessons and the input that we hear in appropriate ways to be able to shape the design going forward. At the top of page 2 there, you'll see.
Nick,
Yep.
you're talking about the public feedback is available, but that does not include reaches 1, 2, and 5, correct? Because those will be at a later date.
Correct. It includes what 1, 2, and 5 were when we had the presentation in June. We are working quite hard on obviously further developing those, and we will be back to the community board. We'll be back to the community board at that, because we're going to want to provide additional information. We're going to need additional feedback from you, and we want to make sure it's conducted in a robust way. So yes, we'll be back on the parts that we still have to get up to that level.
So. And the questions that are remaining, that are still outstanding?
Yep, I spent some time on them. I actually spent some time on them this weekend, and we should have them soon. And they'll be posted to the location as all the materials are from the meetings, the summaries, the videos, the recordings, and the presentations. But yes, haven't forgotten, and we're on it.
Please notify the chairs of the committees on the board when you do post those.
I can send a note out saying it's up, sure. What you'll see here is the top of that page has the graphic, but then that's just the graphic that's on the feedback tool, and it's in the newsletter or the MailChimps that we'll be sending out. To the right, you'll see that is a post that we had discussed previously in committee. But the suggestion was, hey, Nick, you have all these community board meetings or all these public meetings about the resiliency project, but can we get something up in the parks that just lets people know, generally speaking, that there is this big effort going on to remake the Battery Park City waterfront, to protect it, and we can have those in places that are easily seen by people in a physical way. So what you will now see in the parks, is that poster to the right, stay in the loop, on planning and design for the Northwest Battery Park City Resiliency Project. There's a QR code, people, because this is a physical sign. So there's a QR code you can scan, and it brings you right to the website, has information on what the project's about. And we have those signs up now along the Battery Park City Esplanade. I'm looking here, it looks like it's the South Esplanade by about 380 Rector. I'm just looking at some pictures I've seen. We have one by the Liberty Ramp, actually, so we're coming back to Liberty Ramp. We have one up in Rockefeller. We have one on the North Esplanade, and I think there's one in Belvedere as well. So at various points across the waterfront when people will be walking, we want to certainly make sure that they're made aware of what's happening and encourage them to get involved. So that was important. I wanted to make sure that the committee had seen that. I know we had discussed it, and we're glad that that's up now.
Okay, Nick, one question in the room. Go ahead, Gabriella.
Sure.
We have building management, if we can put these in lobbies or in the mail rooms or something like that, just to get it out more.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, if we can get this as a
Building level.
as a like a PDF or something that you can send to us, the committee board, Nick, or send it to me and I can disseminate it and we can try
Building
to.
managers.
Yeah, building managers, and you could
The
do that.
authority can reach right out
authority
to
can
building
send it.
managers.
Yeah, and then we can put that out there in our buildings too, so people just, we really truly, I think Brittany Ernst said it, you really have to put so much effort into letting people know what's going on. So I so appreciate this. You listened and you're putting it up, that's wonderful. And if you can help them get it out there as a PDF and then.
Yeah, I'll send you the image right now, or right after we finish this meeting. I send stuff out to the building managers regularly. I can send this to them as well. And then not to perhaps be too forward, but if you guys wanted to put this in the community board newsletter or something that just appears on a regular basis, even between the meetings, because obviously attending to any particular public engagement is a full bore kind of blast out with newsletters specific to that time and date and place. But this is more of a general, even in the in-between, hey, guys, this is going on. You should really be aware of it. So yes, good suggestions all.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
South project, the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project, we had Rick Fogarty to the Battery Park City Committee in July. And he'll be scheduled to come back, I believe, Justine, if it's okay with you and Jeff and Tammy, in October. And he'll be back, he'll be on that every other month schedule. So October, December, I guess, February, etc.
So Nick, if I can, if we're still gonna talk about South Battery Park City Resiliency, I have a couple of questions. Yeah, that's what you're on.
All right.
I have two things. One, I know we've gone back and forth with emails and we've had discussions. They're still doing some really loud pile driving, horribly loud work starting at 7 a.m. And I heard very loud and clear from, the authority, from the team, everybody else saying that in order to get everything done by spring 2025, you need to do the work and you need to get it going. But people are really disturbed by it starting that early. So anything that can be done to push back the loud noise down there would be so great. We'd be so grateful for it.
Okay, I will reiterate it. I will reiterate the request again with the team.
That would be great. And then secondly, I want to throw this out to you, and I'm gonna take us back to before COVID. Back when we were all meeting in person and we were having these meetings, maybe 2018, we were talking about the building, the new building that's gonna be there now.
Oh, the pavilion. Yeah. We discussed this. You and I talked about this last week, right? Or
We talked about it last week, and I'd like to just throw this out there as a question. When is the time to talk about what that building is going, the use of the building? Okay, not gonna have the conversation, at least not in my meeting at this point. What's it gonna look like, this, that, we're kind of done with that. Now I wanna know about programming. What's gonna happen in that meeting, in that building? What is the size of a restaurant that's gonna be there? What kind of a restaurant? How much community space? When do we have that talk?
yeah, it's a good question. I think where you and I left off was maybe when we discussed it, maybe next month is the time or November, but yeah, we can have that, conversation. I mean, the general, like you said, the general form and shape and spaces in the building aren't gonna change, but the uses, like there's a community space, right? And then there's a space
Yes.
that's supposed to be like a restaurant, but the types of things that people would like to see that be, I think is an important conversation to have. So let me get back with the team and see when it makes sense, whether it's October, November, but I would say that this fall is a good time.
I think that makes sense. I know the building's going to be built, and once you get a contract in place and you put your RFP, whatever it is, your RFP out to have it built, it matters in what you're putting forth as to what you want to do with the usage, right? So I think I'm making this a formal request, that we, the community, would like to be involved in what the usages are, the programming is for the space. As promised, because this goes back a long time ago, back in 2018, 2019, when we were talking about this, we were told, and even after that, I was told the community will have a say in what is used there. You're not gonna have a say in what we're building it, we're doing this for resiliency, we're doing this to protect you, okay. But we were gonna have a say, at least have input into the use. So I would like to have that discussed.
Yeah, I think it's a conversation to have, and we should have it this fall.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Programmatically especially, right? Because we have a nice opportunity there now with, a brand new park and a new building and maritime uses, and what can we discuss? And I know Craig has had some ideas as well, so let's have a conversation.
Yep, because I believe you had a survey at one point and you've gotten information from the community.
Yeah, maybe and maybe it takes the form of a survey again. We'd probably want to refresh it since that information is a little old now, but it doesn't mean that it can't be instructive. We just may want to make sure we refresh it and get it out. Have more than 54 people reply, but again, like anything else.
Wouldn't that be nice?
You know how it goes.
Thank you.
Okay. This is actually something very exciting. Calling all artists. So talk about the things that we learn in this business and kind of different agencies and jurisdiction and what falls what and kind of what path you have to take. There is an open call now. It's an RFP that was released. It's kind of joint with us, but it's really by a firm called ArtBridge. And ArtBridge is the designated entity that the city of New York has said is responsible for the installation of artwork on construction sheds and fencing across the city. So there is an RFP out there. The link is right there, bit.ly/BPCA. And it is implementing the City Canvas pilot program. The City Canvas program is artists can apply to have their artwork displayed, and that is the only sanctioned way for artwork and other types of kind of medium to appear on city construction fencing. On construction, I should say, on construction fencing across the 5 boroughs, including Battery Park City. There are other illicit and inappropriate ways, but the way that it's supposed to be done is through this consortium. So the information is there. There's questions we can call. I think there was something that came in a couple of weeks ago from someone who was asking.
Yes.
So this information is out there, but if again, this is something the community board wants to put in its letter as well. The deadline's coming up, but it came out toward the end of last week. They wanted to make sure that they got it out, but we have a few weeks left, and it will be helpful. You see some, I think, really beautiful things on the fencing there, and it'll kind of spruce up the area a bit and won't make it as kind of ho-hum as it is now. So that's important. I wanted to make sure that we had that conversation and that was out there. And then if you scroll down, then Tammy, whoever's driving on the dash, it's the fall program and events guide, as you all saw was released last week. I won't go through all of them, but we have, obviously, as you know, range of hundreds of free events across Battery Park City from now through December, including Climate Week activities for adults and kids and seniors and all ages in between. And there's a few highlights coming up that if you scroll down. So we have Migration Celebration coming up. That's this Saturday. That's coming right up. But there's live music and a festival, and it's a celebration of all the creatures that migrate through and pass by Battery Park City on their paths each year. So that'll be a lot of fun. There's art making and there's bird watching and a nature walk, etc. And then we have a live show, Los Cintron at 5:30 on the 14th at Belvedere Plaza, which has really become a really magnificent place for kind of musical performances of the sort. And then for Climate Week, we have as is becoming our regular lineup of Climate Week events for kids and others. We have the Battery Park City Beehive. We have a tree canopy and biodiversity tour where folks can learn about what we're doing to measure and assess the tree canopy throughout Battery Park City as part of our sustainability plan. We have a Climate Week nature walk and others. These are just some highlights for September. The one thing I didn't put in here, but I emailed Marion about, is we have now a BPC book club for the first time for seniors. I thought that was kind of cool. That jumped out at me. So we have some of those events coming up, and I don't want to belabor it too much. We can go on now to the next thing, but those are all in the report, which as you have, and I'll post it online. And then obviously the community center fall schedule. That's I'm sorry, last thing. We have the Lorax, so we have Saturday Friendly Workshop at the bottom there of page 6, Public Art on Video, Season 2. This is really cool if you have a few minutes. You don't need a ton of time, but if you recall last year, we did a series of YouTube shorts, maybe 5, 6, 7-minute videos of outlining some of the history of the public art in Battery Park City. Narrated in part by Abby, who's our strategic partnerships lead, but also featuring a lot of the artists who created the work. So Tom Otterness is featured, and Brian Toll did the Irish Hunger Memorial. We have the new season now. That's at the bottom of page 6 and top of page 7. And we have James Yaya Huff talks about Justice Reflected. We have a nice meditation on Teardrop Park with the 2 artists, Dan Hamilton and Michael Mersil, and Sunrise Sunset Revolution, which you'll recall started as a temporary installation down at Pierre Plaza and is now installed up in Rockefeller Park. So really nice. In a few minutes, they're really very well produced, and they're really a joy to watch. So I hope you enjoy those. Those are up there. And then the fall schedule for the community center is up as well. It's back to its normal hours. It's back to its normal hours for the fall, which are 7 to 10 on weekdays and 1 to 9 on the weekends. Okay. You can scroll down this. We had the community reminder about the financial assistance for seniors. That's been there. Community reminder about dogs on lawns. Of course, we'd be remiss unless we didn't put that in each month. And then we have some program highlights that I can just run through. We can go through these fairly quickly. That's at the top of page 8 there, Tammy. But River and Blues obviously was a huge success in its new home, as was the Battery Dance Festival, which is mentioned later. Really has provided a wonderful setting and really a new integrated space or a different type of integrated space for performances. And I think folks really enjoyed it. And the turnout at each of these events was really quite something. The Battery Dance Festival in particular, we had a chance to follow up with the team there in the days after the festival, and they were very pleased about their new home. I want to thank those of you who came out on July 27th. That was also the last night of the River and Blues performance to say farewell to BJ Jones. There's some pictures there, and we really had a great time seeing so many of our residents and partners and friends and celebrating the end of BJ's run. Obviously, just getting started on all that Battery Park City is going to do, but we owe BJ a real debt, and he was one of the finest public servants I've ever known. So we'll miss him. He hasn't gone far. He's at the city and the city of New York, working in City Hall on the New York initiative. We will see him around. We'll see him around the neighborhood soon. As he said that night, he'll probably sometimes take the long way into work and try and walk through Battery Park City because it's really was one of the loves of his life, and we'll miss him. Beyond that, we have some other highlights here. Brass Queens was on August 17th. That's an all-female led New Orleans inspired jazz band, which was really wonderful. You'll see some pictures at Belvedere Plaza rather, and the Battery Dance Festival, which I mentioned earlier. The one thing I wanted to go into, we can just jump right to the top of page 10, which will bring us then to the end where we started. Have a listing of events coming up for the month. These are, again, not our events. These are permanent events. I know these are always of interest to the community board. A couple of these were reported last month. The Zero Prostate Cancer 5K, I think, was in my last report. But for awareness, the Pipes and Drums is on Saturday, September 9th. That's very short, and it's in the middle of the day, and it is supposed to be only a few dozen people. It's the first gathering since COVID, but it should be a relatively light footprint. And again, at midday. But it's the first gathering since the pandemic, and they'll be just at the police memorial to pay their respects. We have a couple of walkathons there. I did want to draw your attention to Chabad of BPC. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. They have Rosh Hashanah services from the 14th to the 18th. Those are long engagements. They're on the Esplanade Plaza. There's going to be a tent set up, which those of you who live in the area have probably seen in the past. And then there'll be.
Where?
Go ahead.
Esplanade Plaza?
Where? It doesn't say.
Yeah, it's missing a note, like it says 10 services.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Esplanade.
It's Esplanade Plaza.
Yeah, it's the volleyball court, right? For both the Chabad and BPC.
In that general area, yes. We'll coordinate with the volleyball folks as well to give them a heads up.
Thank you. Please do let them know.
And then the shorter of the two ones comes later. High Holiday Services, they're calling it. I think it may be Yom Kippur. I don't know for sure the dates. They're calling it High Holiday Services, but that's the 24th through the 26th. And that's open for people to attend. So you can come in, and I don't know that you need to participate in the service, but it's open for people to pass by. And that's those will be followed by, the morning services. At least we'll have some breakfast service. And then the big one I know, and I believe that this is not on an unrelated track, but it's its own track, I guess, with the community board as well, is Stephen Siller. I know that group has been pretty good in overall in the past years about coordinating with the community board and letting them know what the impacts are going to be. It's the morning of the 24th is the event. The 23rd will be the setup. There will be, unlike the other events, there will be closures to local streets attendant to this event as dictated by police department and other authorities. But what I will do, and it's actually served, I think, to some positive effect, is days leading up to that, I can send out a blast note as well to our community, just letting them know, like, hey, FYI, this is happening. Here's what you'll expect to see closed in the days to follow for the event. And then maybe with a link out to who they can contact with questions or concerns. Those were the main things I wanted to make sure folks were tracking. Couple of good updates since we last all got together in July.
Nick, I would have a question just briefly about the activation of the space along the Pataki Parkway, the AstroTurf area.
Yes, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, I didn't notice any programming in anything I looked at, but doesn't mean it's there.
Yeah, it's okay. Yes, it's called, let me bring it up for you right now. So I'm glad you brought that up. So two things there, and I know, Betty, we had discussed this as well. What we wanted to do was, we got the space set up, I think, right toward the middle of June or so. It might have been right toward the end of school. We do want to get a sense of what type of use the schools are making of it now that they're, or will be, I guess, tomorrow morning, back in session, or what use they're not making of it, right? We want to make sure that we're giving it kind of a fair go, but are not, like, as we said before, not committed one way or the other to saying it has to stay or it has to go. We want to give it an honest look and see if people like it. If they like it, great. If they don't, then it's something that we can remove. If it's something that's lighter than that's there now, I know the tables and chairs, at least on my limited anecdotal evidence, has been something that people really liked. Then maybe it's just some tables and chairs that we put out there. But one of the things we were able to do in the fall calendar, come to think of it, Justine, that would have been a good thing to put in my highlights, is we have a program called, I can put it in the chat, I guess. We have Games and Grooves. So Games and Grooves is a cute little name. It's on Fridays from September 15th to October 27th. So it's about 6 engagements or so from 12 to 1 at that space. And we'll have some lawn and board games, and we'll have a DJ, spinning some tunes, dominoes and ping pong and stuff like that. So just for folks maybe to come out, maybe some of the kids can enjoy it on lunch break or others, and we'll see what the pickup is. I spoke with Craig about it, as he said, look, if you do an event 6 times and no one shows up, then that maybe gives you an indication. If on the other hand, people can't get enough of it and they want Games and Grooves to go on forever, again, that's another data point. It doesn't mean that, again, it has to stay. It just means it's something for us to consider as we decide what, if anything, we want to do with the space in addition, or what, if anything, we want to do with the space in terms of scaling back. But that's a good conversation to have. And we had committed, I think, Justine, we'll be back to you in the fall on that. So I think maybe for that one, November, December, because it runs through the end of October, but we'd love to be able to get some metrics and stats about what the usage was or wasn't, and then come back to you with a report on kind of recommendations and what you would like to let us know as well.
That would be great, Nick. Thank you. I'm going to open it up to any questions in the room from anybody or comments. Betty, go ahead.
Comments. When everything is designed by and for recreation people, and there is zero input from transportation people, those with mobility, guess what's going to win? 100% is going to win. Let's block the pedestrians, so those who want to play here versus all the other potential spaces will have this. Not only that, there's AstroTurf, so it's not just during lunch breaks. It is 24/7. It blocks to people, and so if you watch, you can see the pedestrians always narrow and walk around it. So it's not just people like me who have difficulty going over uneven surfaces. But again, you can't say that in any way it is equitable or the input is going to be reasonable when it's only being sought by recreational people for recreational programming and measuring their response to recreation or not choosing to go. It's omitting all the people who want it for other reasons who really have no input in the equation at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for saying that, Betty, because you're not the only one who feels that way. So it remains to be seen what happens. Nick, I think it's fair, as we discussed with the meeting with Jeff and with Mimi and Dan, to give some time with the school opening up and to give you a chance to do some programming there. And thank you. It's in the chat now. You put it in and Amy just shared it with everybody. But yeah, let's come back and let's have the discussion and see what's going on. And also, one thing that we had talked about is you would have a QRL and have some sort of a sign there so that people were walking by when you're having the programming to get them to go to your website for the survey. And you were going to update the survey to add a few questions that I think Betty had sent you some suggestions.
Yes, it's been on my list for a while, Betty, my apologies. But yes, the QR code is there, leads you to the survey. I think we could stand to maybe frame some of those questions a little differently or add new ones to get it your concerns, or to get it at least asking the questions in the way that would elicit responses from other than maybe a somewhat limited audience.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And I think we have to remember that there are multiple users of the space and every space, and we have to be cognizant of all of them. So I respect that, Betty. Thank you.
Well, and the Esplanade is not there. So everybody keeps focusing on the park because we're dealing with people who are recreational specialists.
Yes.
All the discussion, making all the decisions. And nobody's talking about the mobility of people to get around.
Yeah.
We are completely left out of the equation. And I don't see a way to equitably bring it into the equation.
Yep, we have to have space for everybody and take care of everybody. So that is something that we need to do. So I think updating the survey would be really important, and then let's come back and let's do this. If it's possible to do it, I think November 1st is our November meeting. It'd be great if we could talk about it then, if you could pull together the metrics by then. If not, December, but I'd really like not to wait. Yeah, and just let us know. Let us know when. And yes, that's another thing too, Tammy's reminding me. Please do let us know when Pam can come back. This meeting, we'd love to have it if we could get her in December to answer questions. She doesn't have to do much. You know, it's not much preparation. It's going to be answering the questions of people. And, you know, you're going to get a lot of things about how this works. You're going to get the same stuff. Well, where does the money come from? Where does it go? There's things that people just don't understand. And the more times that you present it, the more slides we have. Go back to the old slides. BJ's old slides were comprehensive and very helpful.
I know you love it. I know you love that slide.
I
New
do
slides
love
with the numbers updated.
But it helps understand. That's knowledge is power. And with that, I think.
You're a little low. You're a little low, Justine, on the
I
volume.
think that, if no questions or comments, I think we can call this meeting to an end. So do I have we can adjourn? Yes?
Not good to me.
Sounds good. Third, yes, you've got seconds and thirds. Time to go. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And again, please thank Pam. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye now.